Okay, so for these, what we're going to be doing is instead of solving for a side, we're going to be solving for an unknown angle in here. And to do that, it's a similar setup as to what we had done with solving for the sides, but what we're going to have to do is use inverse trig functions when we do this, the one with a little negative one up on the top. And I'll show you how to do this so we're on the same page. What we're looking at right here is this angle. And so I'll call this angle X because I think it'll be easier right now. What we do is we look at what parts we have. So angle X has the two sides, one that's across from it, one that's next to it. So this is my opposite and this is my adjacent side. Now with those two sides being the ones that we're looking at, opposite and adjacent means we're going to be dealing with the tangent. So we know that the tangent of our angle X would equal the ratio opposite 13 over adjacent 16. Now the reason why I'm setting it up this way first, you want to set up the trig ratio first. Because once you set this thing up, now you know what you can do with it. So I've set this up based upon my unknown angle and the two sides. The tangent of X equals 13 over 16. Then what we're doing is solving for that angle. So just like what you have to do in any algebra problem, what you're going to try to do is to cancel out the thing that is in the way of the variable we're solving for. So right now, the X is being sort of blocked by our tangent there. We want to undo the tangent by using the inverse tangent, that tangent -1. So if I take this on this side, that'll cancel it out and it'll leave me behind with the X, which means that what I have to do is the exact same thing to this side. Now, I wrote them in there just so you kind of see the way the work looks. But essentially what's going to be happening then is that these two will cancel each other out. And I'm going to be left with an X. And here I'm going to have the inverse tangent of 13 over 16. Now, this is already in calculator ready form. So all I have to do then is to go toss this into the calculator and it will give us the opportunity then to figure out what the value is going to be. So I'm going to just kind of move us to our calculator so that you can see it. And when we get there, this is the Desmos calculator that we've been using. Now we have our three regular functions, sine, cosine, and tangent on here. We want to go to the function button to take us to our inverses when we do this. So I'm taking the inverse tangent of 13 over 16, and that will give me, I'll make sure that the parentheses is in the right spot, 39.093, blah, 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 blah. I always go to the hundreds place afterwards so we can have enough accuracy. So 39.09 degrees is what we're looking at for this answer. And so when we go back to take a look at it, I've written it down, but it does give us an idea of saying, okay, well, we've got 39.09 degrees. That would be here. We could eventually use that to subtract and find what the other one is. But right now, we're just looking for the one angle. And so that is the way that we can do that using the inverse tangent. Now, I'm pretty sure that our other example that we have on here, oops, you guys don't need that one, is going to involve something a little bit different. Yeah, I've got a hypotenuse here. So we'll do the same process. All of that setup is the same. You make your variable your unknown. You see which sides you have. This is the opposite side because it is not touching the angle there. This is next to it, but since it's across from the right angle, this is our hypotenuse. So if we're using opposite and hypotenuse, that means we are going to be using the sine function. So the sine of angle X is going to equal the opposite over the hypotenuse, which is 26 over 33. Same general idea. If we want to cancel out our sine, we're going to have to use the inverse sine on both sides of our equation. I gave myself a little more space here so it didn't get so crammed. These two will cross each other out and leave behind just my X. And what we'll be plugging into our calculator is the inverse sine of 26 over 33. Again, I'm going to take us back to the other sheet, to the other page so that we can look at the calculator version of this. I'm going to clear everything out and start from scratch. We have the inverse sine of 26 over 33, and that is going to give us 51.987 or 51.99 degrees. Now, guys, I know that that rounds real close to 52. And depending on what it is that you're being asked to do, if you were asked to round to the nearest 10th, then this would go up and we'd have 52 degrees. Since I'm asking you to go to the nearest 100th for accuracy, that's what we're going to be looking at. And so this is the way that we go through it. And that should be enough to show you how to use trig to find an unknown angle.